Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll be discussing Wails of the Bound Beta by Keri Kusabi. Before we get started, there will be spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiling this manga, go ahead and click off now. No worries, I'll catch you next time. For those of you left behind, let's go over some content warnings. There may be references to sex work, prejudice, slut-shaming, rape, implied infertility, male pregnancy, implied dementia or Alzheimer's, age gap, body shaming, obsession, PTSD, claustrophobia, manipulation, stalking, mentioned incest, child abuse, and mentioned arranged and forced bonding, as these things do appear in the manga. Now, if that's okay with you, let's go and get started. As always, let's start with synopsis. Just to be clear, this is a sequel to Wails of the Bound, and I highly encourage you to either read that one first before reading this, or at least watching my first review before watching this one. No longer feeling compelled to protect his chief anymore, Miyabi having finally met his alpha partner and being marked, Shingo Uto decides to take a promotion, putting him into the chief position of Division 2. Utao hopes his time of pining after and protecting Omegas, who could never love him in return because he's a beta, is finally over for the foreseeable future. But then he meets the new hire, Sumito Sasabe. Sasabe is an Omega, and though he's not planning on disclosing his secondary gender at work, he has to disclose it to his bosses. Sasabe hates being an Omega, as any success he has is always attributed to his ability to seduce and pleasure. But he hates betas even more as they can do nothing for him, unable to mark him and protect him from other alphas. So he'd rather hate them so he doesn't mistakenly fall in love with one. Utao is having flashbacks of working with Miyabi, and after talking to his boss, it's clear that the intent of hiring Sasabe is to replace Miyabi and what he offered the company, his body. Utao has no intention of seeing another Omega be used by clients again, but every time Utao tries to help, Sasabe sees him as just another predator trying to take advantage of him. Still, as time goes on and the two grow closer and closer, they find themselves falling for each other. But Sasabe's role in the company is already becoming that of a sex worker, and he's desperate to take that opportunity away. A beta can't mark an Omega, so there's only so much Utao can do for Sasabe. Thankfully, there is an alpha from another company lingering around that Sasabe could use. But if an alpha marks Sasabe, he can never have sex with anyone other than that alpha again, separating him from Utao forever. Is it worth losing the one he loves for the guaranteed safety it would provide, or will he regret abandoning Utao forever? So we're back again to the mostly pretty art. Once again, the eyes are often far too wide for the faces, but I've already discussed that in the review for the first entry in this series. Not much has changed, except that it is a bit more consistent, which I can appreciate. What's more important to discuss in this particular title is that the sex scenes are a tad cleaner. I don't think it's because of time or practice, but because there are just fewer individuals in the sex scene. Unlike before where they were having to blur 3+ penises in most sex scenes, here we really only see 2 penises in any sex scene, which makes it so much easier to see and discern what's happening. As a degenerate, that's pretty important to me, so I love that for me and my fellow degenerates. It's not the cleanest, but it's better. Unfortunately, the whirlwind aspect of the previous title happens here too. The relationship is much better this time because we're focused on Utao and Sasabe. The story is really honed in on showing how they interact with each other and how they struggle with trust, love, and how their wants or needs align or disalign. The chemistry between the two just feels so much more realistic than the previous main couples. However, while the main relationship building is better, there is still an issue with the backgrounds. There is a secondary love interest, an alpha, who's pining after Sasabe and offers to mark him and be together so Sasabe can be free from his secondary gender. As it turns out, the alpha was just trying to get with Sasabe to punish Utao, but Utao's only slight against him was when Utao was chosen over him on a project which, again, wasn't Utao's doing. This ended up having a domino effect of the alpha losing his twin brother to an arranged marriage. Apparently, the alpha wanted to be with his Omega twin brother. Ick. And then this is all explained with a couple of panels. It felt so out of left field and so unbelievable. It would have been better just for the alpha to have wanted Sasabe, the end, nothing more. The need for the alpha to have some ulterior motive so wild and weird like this is just so unnecessary, and did nothing for the story beyond just making me feel weird. I did like that this added the concept of having to have a mark removed, which I rarely see, but this could have been included without the random incest-fueled revenge plotline. Something else that's completely glanced over is Sasabe's unique family structure. It turns out he was raised by 2 Omega fathers, something I really wanted to hear more about beyond the unexplained flashbacks or the single and brief appearance of one of his dads. Seeing couplings between between two Omegas is pretty rare in Omegaverse work. I have my own that I wrote, Dominate Me Omega. Yes, that's a shameless plug. And I was really excited to see more, but it might as well have not even been shown for the brief time it was shown and referenced. It really made Sasabe's background feel hollow. The issue with the first entry was that there was so much background that it overshadowed the main couple. In this case, there's a ton of main couple time, but then the backgrounds are so brushed over that they feel needless or unbelievable. I wish this had been like a 10-volume series because there are just so many elements mentioned without any follow through. It left me truly bewildered. Before I close out this review though, I have to mention that this has male pregnancy. Love! One of my favorite parts of BL Omegaverse is that they can have children together, and I adore that Utao got to have children. Utao comes from a very large family with so many siblings, and after Sasabe meets this family, he realizes that he wants to give that kind of happiness to Utao in the form of his own family. They have twins, and we get a glimpse of how they might look a tad bit older, but that's really it. I love that we got what we got, but I always desperately want more in the best way when it comes to storylines where the couple has children. If they decide to continue Utao's and Sasabe's story with their babies, I will be all over it. With all that being said, I was pretty hard on this, but if you can believe it, I liked it much more than the first entry in this series. The couple felt so much more authentic and believable because we get so much more time with them as opposed to mixing in half-hearted backstories and the like. Unfortunately, that means the backstories in this are even more half-hearted, but then add in the odd revenge plot fueled by incest and we just jump right off the rails. This is pretty good overall if you cull that little blip of weirdness out. It's sad and hard, but ends with so much hope and joy. It's just a good time. We also get hints of another continuation with our previous main couple from the first series, which I really am looking forward to. So, have you read Wails of the Bound Beta? If so, what do you think? Do you agree with my assessment? Do you not? Let me know and comment below. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Bye!